Let's do it. We're going live. So you got to talk into the mic when you speak, kiddo. And then when Glenn and Amber come on, you got to biggity bounce.
No.
So the mic's directional, so you got to speak right into it. And I'm probably going to get out of here and get back on Zoom in a second. Yes, now we can get out of here. We should be live. We are live.
No, we're not.
Oh, we are. There we are.
No.
No, we're live. Trust me. Trust me. Don't trust me because I'm always messing this stuff up. The human condition. Hey, the whole world's looking at you.
No, I'm not.
This is the human condition. Introduce you to my new assistant. What's your name?
I am the glub.
So we're just waiting for messing around a little bit. We got 7 minutes to mess around. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind these days? How old are you?
I'm
Scooching.
89.
Well, nobody's gonna believe that. You know what the subject of the show is today?
Consciousness.
Consciousness.
I can't.
So, what do you think consciousness is?
Where you. I forgot.
You forgot?
Yeah.
So there's good consciousness and there's bad consciousness. We call it good and bad, but negative, positive. There's dark, there's light. What kind of consciousness do you want?
Good.
You want good? Why?
I forgot what it means. So you have to
So-
tell me.
So if you got a little oh wait, Amber's here. Let's let her in. So when you're about to say something negative to your brother, and you got this little voice back here that's kind of watching what you do, and it's saying, "Hey, Sophia, maybe you shouldn't say that thing to your brother." That's your consciousness. Hi, Amber.
I'm saying that because you may.
Hi, guys.
Oh, you only want to be good because I might yell at you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. I can also hear Sophia perfectly.
You're gonna have to bow out. When
Sound check. Sound check.
Yeah, we're live anyway, so whatever.
Who's the Ashton Ambra, huh?
Who let her on this show?
You.
You got to go to bed.
No.
You want to interview Amber?
Yeah.
Amber's a good interviewer.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if this is a good idea. How do you like your dad's shirt?
Oh, you saw that? Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of Your Mom.
Dark Side of Your Mom. I didn't see the bottom. I just saw the top. That's funny. My favorite is Dark Side of the Rainbow. You ever done that? Watch Dark Side of the Moon with The Wizard of Oz on silent.
No, I have not done that.
Are we
It's
still live?
awesome.
Yeah,
It
we're live.
marries very well.
Well,
It's a pretty cool experience.
that might be a must do.
Hmm.
So we're about to get serious in a second. Do you have anything you want to say on consciousness? Your consciousness? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. What about love? What about love under new management? Got nothing?
No.
What do you got to say about Roblox?
Robux.
Go to bed.
Robux.
Say goodnight.
No.
Say goodnight.
No.
Sophie.
I have to go to bed in 1 hour though.
Yeah, but you can't be here.
Okay.
You don't want to be in this conversation, trust me.
I will talk.
You don't want to be in this conversation, Soph.
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, whatever. You can watch. How's it going out there?
Good. I found a place I found a lamp and I'm sitting under it. So
I noticed the
I'm-
lighting.
I'm a little bit better lit than I was last time.
I love that stuff behind you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are those books, sir?
These are CDs and music machines. Old school machines that we hardly use anymore in our world. DVD, CD players and amps and more amps, sub amps.
Stuff's so cool.
Yeah.
My stepdad would love that.
Oh,
It's like a A musician's heaven.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Giant speakers. I mean, the sound when you listen to anything here is just amazing. I'm gonna miss it for sure.
Yeah.
Was anyone else gonna come?
Yes, Glenn, Reverend Glenn.
Who else?
That's it, Sophie. She's gonna unprofessional this. It's unprofessional anyway. We just talk. Who am I kidding?
Hey, Sophie, your dad was talking about consciousness, and then you have your conscience. You ever seen Pinocchio?
What did she say?
Have you seen Pinocchio? You don't hear?
Yes, Pinocchio.
What do you think?
The Disney cartoon version of it?
No,
Which one you see?
the
Live action?
yeah.
Oh, is there a Jiminy Cricket in the live action? I didn't see that one.
I forgot it. It was like.
These kids are on the subject of consciousness. They're so in a different world. Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're in such a different world with their mindsets. They don't.
Yeah.
I remember we used to wait for Saturdays so we could watch cartoons.
Yeah.
It was the only time during the week, and then you catch a few after school. But that used to be something that was so exciting. And then maybe catching wrestling on Saturday night, staying up late. Like now they don't know what it's like to not be able to demand it and have it.
Yeah. It's
On the
actually unfathomable and sort of like really uncool to even mention it to them.
Yeah. Wait.
Like,
what?
That's
I-
just so. Ugh.
Just record it. Record it. No, just type it in. We can get that.
Remember when DVR was a thing?
I do.
Where you could preventatively, you could control your intake a little bit that way, schedule it. But I think we bored her finally.
Go watch your TV. If you ain't contributing, kiddo. All right. I've asked her so many times, hey, you want to get on a podcast? Let's talk about a subject you want to do. Because I thought it'd be cool to have. She wants nothing to do with it, and then she gets her electronics taken, and she's all about it. And then she.
Well, yeah. Well, so now you know how to get her on the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
You just have to plan it around a subject that is interesting to her.
Do you hear that tapping? Is that you?
Oh, that was me. I was scrolling to see if this was showing live on your feed.
Yeah, it's live. Well, we can start the conversation without Glenn. Or no, it's 9:00 right now. It should be.
Yeah, we're both early.
I thought I was going to get some substance out of Sophia before catch some magic in the first 7 minutes.
You never know. Gotta give the opportunity. Okay. All right. Now I'm
You said?
not tracking on my trackpad anymore. No more clicking of my nails on the tip of my computer.
I haven't stopped thinking about I think about consciousness all the time. I can't not. The duality of mind and matter. There's a great book on that. It's a pretty advanced book, but probably my favorite. It's called The Nature of Consciousness, but it's by Rupert Spira.
Mhm.
Essays on the subject of mind and matter.
I've heard him speak before. He's very clear when he speaks.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where I was so interested in every chapter that I would set it down, and literally I would spend like weeks on contemplation.
Mhm.
Sophia, come on. I'm not playing now.
I'm not
Go.
gonna talk.
Yes, you go.
I'm not gonna talk.
Go. Nobody can read that, kid. Go. Damn pandemic. Get back in the studio.
So what was your setup before?
It was a studio. We were at Podcast Detroit. So it was just a table and a bunch of mics.
So everyone would show up in person?
Yeah. Yep. That's a no-no these days.
No,
Can't be doing that in person, madness.
I couldn't
Um,
be there. So maybe there's a blessing and you can invite people from different locations now.
that's been the coolest thing is people are at home.
Mhm.
They want to have conversations about stuff, and so it's worked out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that book. Where'd you see Rupert Spira speak?
Oh, just YouTube navigations, you know, curiosity. That's the beginning of everything. Consciousness is actually, well, curiosity is the beginning of consciousness, I guess. From a human perspective, you know, without curiosity, without awareness,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be walking around thinking about consciousness all the time.
Well, that's kind of how conscious. Like I view everything as consciousness. I think everything is a conscious interaction, not in the way humans understand it, not in the way humans are conscious, um, but it seems like the universe has a curiosity. Subatomic particles have a curiosity, and they kind of know. There's a knowing where they belong. There's no like the thing that holds humans back is we have the ability or detriment
Mm-hmm.
to dwell on the past or think into the future.
Mm-hmm.
So it stagnates us, and we don't just flow. We talk ourselves out of flow because
Mm-hmm.
we have the ability to. So fear bogs us down, anxiety, that type of thing. The universe, you might view a supernova as cataclysmic, but life springs forth from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually beautiful. People view entropy as this inevitable degradation of all things, and really, it's the accumulation of information. I met Jude. I got a wealth of books back there. I was at the conference for consciousness and human evolution. Jude. I got to start referencing these books on here, but
Yeah.
fascinating physicist, and she's like, I prefer to call it the Big Breath. Oh yeah.
Versus the Big
instead
Bang.
of the Big Bang, the big
Uh-huh.
the big breath.
Yeah.
You know, and you said entropy is like.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah.
I have to read that. Oh, that's
No, I'm gonna find it. It's back here somewhere.
that's a completely different feeling.
Completely different because
Just you know, from a writer's perspective, you can just change one word and the whole concept sits inside of you differently.
That's what she did, and she said she was like, I'm gonna say something, and it's not like anybody else thinks about entropy, and she said it's gonna change. Oh, here's Glenn right here.
Well, entropy, we think of it as chaos, continued chaos, lack, or if you don't want to lean on chaos, it's a lack of order because it's a continual expansion outside of the confines that you might have created. And it keeps going. It has a natural impetus to just keep going and going.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it as a breath.
And accumulation rather than degradation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glenn said he's watching.
He's watching, but he needs to come click that link. Hi, Glenn.
We're trying not to delve into your concept without you.
We're dancing around it.
We are dancing around it. I think we're dancing pretty well. I mean, I'm gonna find that book. When Glenn gets in, I want to have him flesh out that concept, and I'm gonna look for a couple of books. But that one from Jude, you'll dig it. She's just a fascinating woman.
I'm definitely into that. Also because, and you always go back to duality, right? Is every breath has an exhale and an inhale. So
I'm listening.
If you're pairing that with the concept of entropy, which is one direction, right, outward, doesn't mean it's not complex, but it's a continued direction. It's not in and out. So if we were to think about consciousness or even the birth of the universe as something that could be a breath, which means it has this in and out. And I don't know what Jude writes, but this is just what I think of when you say that, is we should, outside of our ideas about the past and the future, which give us all kinds of anxiety and trauma and things we can't let go of, the contraction that you might feel after an expansion, like once you learn about expansion and how you can get an expansion hangover, basically,
Yeah.
it's a very real phenomenon.
I know.
You expand, and then you get the flu for a couple days or something. It's just your body just kind of breaks down. So if you're gonna go through the process of contraction, we should expect that in every part of life.
Yeah.
And if we expect it and we understand it as part of the breath, then there's no reason to have anxiety about it.
And then what does that relieve you of? Attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Attachment to the way things should be, because there is no should be. Just breathing. Sometimes it's bumpy. Sometimes we got to pause, take a deep breath. Sometimes the breath goes.
Which is why we need new stories. Old stories tell us how things should be, and we need new stories.
Well, no, and we're seeing them emerge.
Mm-hmm.
What you showed me today at Impact Theory, the fact that people are speaking like that,
mm-hmm.
but it's truthful that we are scattered. There's not a ton of us, but we're able to connect
Mm-hmm.
in a way that we've never been. And that's an aspect of consciousness it hasn't been experienced. And I was telling you how the people that I meet with weekly on Zoom, and whenever I have to force myself to remember that we're on this screen. I see it right now, and I know that we're on this screen.
Mm-hmm.
But tomorrow, if I'm speaking of something that's really important, I'm going to remember a place. We'll be someplace. We'll be there. I'll probably be there. It's like a teleport or something. But the people in the Act Now group, I will have these conversations online. And sometimes it's not even with our faces showing, but I'll remember them in a place that we never were. Like
mm-hmm.
It's a strange phenomena. And because this is, here's Glenn.
I think that speaks to the fact that your memory is a fabrication.
It's consciousness. It's part of, it's this big tapestry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Rupert Spira talks about. He talks about this, talks about consciousness as this massive tapestry or movie screen. And we're just projections that are playing on this movie screen, but the tapestry or the screen is infinite. It doesn't change. It's what you might call God. It's just ever present and there for these different things to flash in and out of existence on.
I feel like it's a very playful thing. Like we have this sense of it being thrust upon us, but it's actually playful if you let it be.
Yeah,
right?
If you let it be.
If you let it be.
That's when I have psychedelic experiences. That's the one thing that I take a lot away from it. But the one thing you get, and anybody who's had near death or psychedelic experience, maybe not near death is pretty traumatic. Had that. Not the same as a psychedelic where you know what you're going into and you kind of set your intention. But the one thing that I almost always take away is, why are you so serious? Like, stop. Just stop with all that. Go have fun. The last time I was with my therapist for the ketamine thing, we just lost Glenn. That's what was happening. Like, I don't dance around, and I don't. I told you that joy was the one thing it was hard for me to experience as an actor. Like, I had to force that, but I could get to sadness, I could get to anger, I could get to all that real quick. But real happy, joyous happiness, that was tough. And the last time, these whatever they were, I don't know. These like whooshes, like these, they weren't really people, but they were entities. Had me dancing, kind of twirling me around, playing around, and I was laughing like a kid. And that's what I was told when I came out. I was just laughing like all giddy like a kid.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think to experience joy and that kind of giddiness without being under any, influence. You need to have this ability to be completely present.
Yeah. Because even in the worst, even in the worst of times, you can find something beautiful in it. Almost always. If you couldn't, how would we get through? Life's crazy sometimes. Like that. Sometimes the things that are presented to us are not. They don't make you happy.
No.
I don't know how we keep looking. Glenn keeps getting on and then disappearing.
You're admitting him, and then
his screen pops up and then it goes away.
I wonder what's up with that.
I don't know. It happened last time too. We're at 9:13. It was 15 minutes last time. So we'll see if it might be a 15-minute marker on his Zoom setup.
Huh.
We're rooting for you, Glenn.
We're excited to talk about this.
Yeah. So now my mind's in a hold. Oh, please. Okay. All right.
There's a lot going on behind me. This is just the best light I could find in a place where I could speak freely, meaning because it's late where I am. So
what time is it? So people know.
It's 3 a.m. where I am. So I didn't want to disturb anyone who was sleeping in the house. So I came down here. And this is where the light is. I'm sitting on the floor with my cup of tea.
I appreciate you coming on. Because I don't know what I'd be doing right now. If you weren't here, Glenn would have me. It'd be me and Sophie. She'd be sitting there messing with me, and that's all right too. Playful. Try to be playful until she gets
back to the playful. Gotta stay in the playful energy, which I think it's a good way to sort of, it's like a litmus test of unattachment, because unattachment is, at least in my experience, the place you really need to be inhabiting in order to feel playful.
Yeah, well, I mean, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, think about the winning and losing conversation, right? If you can be detached from winning or losing, that's when you're having fun in the game. I mean, that I wouldn't actually say that for sure, but I think you get what I'm trying to say.
But you can have fun. You can have more fun that way if you're not so caught up in the result. But it's like there he is. Look at 9:15 on the dot. I was telling her last time. That was like 9:15. I sent it to the other email, the Renaissance Unity email.
Oh, okay.
The initial invite, you didn't get it?
No.
Yeah, my bad.
That one. Let me cut this up and off.
So we the love under new management concept that resonated with Ambra. So I sent that, I always share the service, and I'm getting hashtags from her later that's saying love under new management. And I just watched it, and I'm not even catching it. And then she sends me a soundbite of you, and I was like, she caught the nuance of that, and I'm like, you know what? That's right. Let me talk to Glenn. So you want to flesh that concept out a little bit?
Yeah. Yep.
Have you met Glenn? Sorry, I'm
we're meeting right now. Hi, Glenn.
Oh, okay.
Very happy to meet you.
She's in France right now. It's 3.
Oh wow!
3 in the morning.
France?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, Glenn.
Yeah. Yep.
And thank you. I mean, I just listened to your sermon on Sunday, and immediately, I enjoyed it, but I listened to it again, and I was like, I have to listen to because as soon as you said love under new management, when you were talking about agape love, I just was like, this phrase is killing me. I love it so much. Yeah. And I don't know if you realized how much it would land, or at least with me, and I can't be alone. So I'm glad we're here to talk about it.
Well, thanks. Vince and I were talking the other night. I think it was Sunday night. We were communicating
Sunday night
about it, and the whole concept of love, which is what we are. At our very core, we're love, and we come from a place of love. Our point of origin, whether you call it God, divine being, divine spirit, it's still love. It's pure love, uncut love. That's all it is love, energy of love. And so we come from that space. And as we begin to live, we begin to pull ourselves away from that through what I call the added ingredients of living, all these additives. And so our natural pure sense gets diluted. In that process, we move away from that core of being love. And so that whole concept of love under new management is about recognizing your consciousness, but not only recognizing it, it's moving back to your core, which is something that we have the power to do, even though most people will tell you it's tough because they have all these possessions of emotions, feelings, relationships, obligations, that they're not in love with those things, but they act as though they have an obligation to fulfill the requirements to sustain them. And so I'm saying we get to the point where you say, okay, I'm going to call a timeout like we do in other scenarios. I'm going to call a timeout now, and I say, I'm going to manage this process of love. Myself is just the divine expression of love. It's time for me to begin to manage my emotions, my feelings, but really the point of origin that I am, return back to that space. And so how many of us give time to just say, stop, and create that still space where we're able to create on a new canvas who we want to be. And the who we want to be is love. And that's what we're really seeking. All the things that we find ourselves running fast toward in this life are really things that we think will give us this sense of worthiness. And as we accumulate those things, each time we check a box off, we realize that wasn't so fulfilling. That didn't meet the litmus test. So
I don't know what you're talking about. Never experienced it.
You're so off base, Glenn. I can't help.
It is like we get this eye about what if I had this? If I only had this, when I get this, I'm going to arrive at the person that I want to be. And we realize it's not true. And so what do you really want? It becomes a question. The divine expression of love, you really wanted to be able to express yourself without having to be filtered in that. You guys ever felt like, you had to watch what you say, watch what you do to fulfill somebody else's expectation requirement of you?
Yeah.
It's a burden. It's a real heavy burden.
Yeah.
That most people live with.
Well, it's not what I think of me. It's not what you think of me. It's what I think you think of me. And
right.
Living in that prison, it's stagnation. It's in opposition to the energy of creation. So we think we're creating, but we're not. We're confined to the five senses, and we've neglected our true nature.
Mm-hmm.
So from an energy standpoint, what you're saying makes absolute sense, because it's, I mean, the energy of creation is of a higher frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we devolved we think we're so evolved in human consciousness. Me and Amber were just talking about, because of our ability, we think our ability to contemplate, to present forethought, we live in this state of fear, lack, and limitation, but we dwell on the past, and then we get anxiety about the future, and then we go nowhere. We stay stagnant, suspended animation, and wonder why it can't get better.
Yeah.
We neglect love.
Yeah. You find yourself in this pressure cooker. Everything is getting hotter and hotter. It's about to bust, but it's not the place where you want to be. And so I heard you guys, when I couldn't get on, talking about duality, a little bit about that. And it's interesting because a lot of people do see themselves as having this duality. And when we talk about one presence, one power, when we're a divine expression of that presence, that power, there can't be duality. Because if we say that there's duality, that means we suppose that, let's say there's good and evil, there's a God and there's a devil. If there's duality, that means they have equal power to persuade us, to control us. So I think we have to toy with the question, is there really duality? Or is it our will that we make decisions by? Knowing, knowing that there is one presence, one power, and we have free will as men and women, but we decide to make choices that go against us as that spiritual being, that collective one sense that we want to have. And we use, and most of us historically have used God situationally through the dark times.
Yep.
When things are rolling, we're tugging along, we're rolling, we're in the groove.
We don't need you.
Yeah, we don't need you. You know?
I don't know. I think sometimes, yeah, that I don't need you kind of thing definitely exists. But I think sometimes when things are really grooving, it's because we're aligned with God.
Exactly.
So we're not calling God, we're living in that vibration, who's in communication constantly, right? But that's just one other time. It's not either or. I think there's we forget about God times. There's the times when we're in sync, and then there's the time when everything is dark and we appeal to the light and we need grace, and we find it inevitably if we're looking.
Well, and that's the state of duality. Is it an illusion? Absolutely. So is the ego. Is that it really is. It's a human experience, but I don't think we can speak to other humans unless we admit that there's a field of trauma out there, that there's these things that happen, because how do you relate to their experience otherwise? Once you get on the other side of suffering, there's still pain, but you don't have to suffer anymore. And it's hard to speak from where and I still got a long way to go, but I'm pretty evolved compared to where I used to be, and I understand these concepts and they make absolute sense. I don't deny them. Things keep happening that make me deny them even less. Like now it's like, oh, things are too perfect. They got to something's got to happen here, and that's me believing in that duality. That's that ego kicking in and wanting to negate what the truth is, because it's foreign. It's foreign. Now, if somebody had talked to me about there was no oneness when I was 10 years ago. No such thing. There's no oneness. And I'm a pretty intelligent guy. That's what scares me, is that, like, I know things. Yeah, I should, and I think I should know better. But I believed everything I was thinking, and I wasn't malicious with it. It's just that was my belief system. I was programmed. I couldn't get outside of that, so I was very much trapped in duality. Now I think, when we get to a different level, we can say, well, like Christ, I'm in this world, but I'm not of it, right? Like, I get to go into this oneness. I get to feel that. Now let me bring that back and try to shower you with some of that in a language that maybe you understand, because, Christ very much talked about duality, not in those terms, but he used the language of men to, say, love God. And when you love God, you're actually loving yourself. But it was very, I don't know if you've ever read the Nag Hammadi. It's the Gnostic teachings, and it goes into Christ being trained as a young man, and the Essenes. It was the Essenes that kind of trained him. They don't talk about training Jesus in the Bible, right? He just came, he's the Messiah, and that's it. But that was a really interesting take on the whole process. And that's why it was a revolutionary, because he was empowering people. He would say, these things I do, you can do and more. This isn't just, So I do believe that it's an illusion, but it's a persistent one. Like Albert Einstein would say, like, reality is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. And it's hard to get out of the five senses. And if you haven't felt that oneness, there ain't no oneness. There is, but not to you.
But that's my whole premise, is when you talk about love under new management, it's a conscious decision to manage those situations. Just like when you say things are in the groove, if you're not consciously aware of that, if you just think this is some good patch that I'm going through and I hope it don't stop, then you're not consciously aware that there are divine principles that you're tapping into living out. And if you're conscious of that, you'll continue to live out those principles. That's where I think people think there's things like luck, good fortune, faith. Let me get a fortune cookie and whatever it says, it shall be. But there's
Even the fortune cookies make fun of themselves now.
it is stuff.
They're like, this is a joke.
Yeah.
We're not even going to tell you some good stuff.
Right. So
Here's some numbers.
Right. So,
Good luck.
right. Good luck. Hit the Mega Million or something. But that's when you really talk about going to a higher level of consciousness, not just surface level that I'm aware or I have knowledge of. Because there's a lot of people who go to every workshop, read every book, maybe know the Bible, but as far as the application, when Jesus said, "These things I do, you should do them and more," he's talking about an application process of those principles, those concepts that are in the Bible, not just a knowledge of, which a lot of people possess knowledge, but it's the actual practice of it that builds up that muscle that we're lacking, that many of us are.
I think that you just hit exactly what it was for me, at least a good portion of it in the Love Under New Management hashtag. I've now proclaimed this hashtag is there's something very liberating about knowing that you can change the way you do things at any time. You can change the way you live through an experience, or how you experience love, how you give love, what you expect from life. And all of that kind of falls into the same umbrella. And when you see, pizza place is under new management or whatever, your expectations are that you can go in and now the floor is going to be swept and the kitchen's going to be clean, and maybe it's going to be a smile on their face, and maybe there's going to be a nice discount because they just opened. Like all of these positive things. Usually if there's a sign that says they're under new management, it's because there's a new promise. There's a promise of something better. And so love under new management holds that sense of promise that's also tactical, because those are all things I just listed that they were just like boxes they could check and say, okay, this is what we need to do to make things better. And I think a lot of people can benefit from not just the knowledge, like you say, but a sense of like, I can do this. Mm-hmm. There's specific practices I can implement in my life that will get me to that sense of oneness, that unconditional love that you were using that with. I think it's amazing.
And that unconditional love we're talking about, it starts with self. It has to. And so love under new management, it is like that restaurant sign that you see, but it gives you a sense of freedom. Mm-hmm. And it's a announcement that I'm not the same person that you've been encountering and experiencing. I'm different because I make this declaration that is love under new management, self under new management. I'm learning to love myself in a different way, and I'm managing my love process, and my energy around that experience of love is becoming healthier and healthier. How I love myself, and then externally, how I extend that love to other people, and then how I engage in the process of love through my relationships with people. And so that's where we can go from that point of engaging in the Eros love, and we enter those relationships as happy beings with ourselves first. And so I don't need you to complete me any longer. I'm already whole. And so I'm looking to you to be a partner with me. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm still trying to find Jude's book on
still looking.
Yeah, because it's fascinating that she just put that different spin on. So she's a physicist. I don't know if you caught that part where we were talking about when I was out at that conference, and she said, I asked her about entropy, and I said, I think entropy is a choice. And these are all physicists, scientists turned spiritualists, and she said, I'm going to tell you what I think of entropy, and it's a different way. She calls the Big Bang the big breath rather than a bang. And what she says is true. And what entropy truly is the accumulation of information. It's really not a bad thing, right? But humans view, if we see a supernova, it's cataclysmic, but life springs forth from that. So that kind of flipped me upside down when she said that, because I was trained to think about it. Well, everything decays, everything will deteriorate, it'll go into decay, and it appears that way. But how could it not be accumulating information? Because it's doing something new, has to be. So I found that fascinating. So I want to find that book.
Did you just say because you accumulate knowledge is doing something new?
Well, no, just from a physics perspective, it's an accumulation of new information. So if subatomic particles are bits of information, that's what's happening. There's new interactions happening constantly. So it makes sense from that perspective that there's a constant accumulation of information. We're not losing anything. We're constantly gaining.
Right. That's what Amber and I, we were just talking about that.
Were you really?
That accumulation of information doesn't lead to a transformation.
Right.
And that's most people, they accumulate information without the movement towards a transformation. And so what do you have? I have a closet full of clothes. Some of them I can't wear anymore, but I still have them hanging in my closet. And so isn't it time to get rid of some of those clothes that I'll never return to wear again? Maybe it's out of style. So maybe the person I was yesterday and last month has gone out of style in my mind.
I feel the seasons, my connection to nature and the seasons are a great way to connect with, if I'm ever having, which I don't, because I'm very practiced at non-attachment now in general, especially like you're saying with physical items, because I've moved a lot in my life. So it's been enforced naturally, but using the seasons as a metaphor, sometimes we're in bounty, and sometimes we're hibernating, sometimes we're collecting, for the future. Everything has a season, and it's a great way to approach anytime we need to cleanse objects or even people or practices, ways of doing things out of our life, and move into a new management. Fair to continue to think on that metaphor.
Yeah, I like that. Too many times we tuck away stuff as the seasons change. We tuck away things thinking, well, I always reserve the right to go back to that. And I'm saying, discard everything, and walk into the future without the baggage of the past. And that's the toughest thing, it seems like, for people to realize that I'm entering a new season and I don't need to carry this baggage with me any longer. And don't put it in the closet and reserve the right to go back, because you will go back to that old behavior, the old addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
I love how you said that, reserve the right. It's like fighting for your own limitations. It's like, well, I might not be too comfortable in this new land, so I might just go back to that cozy, toxic place or whatever the thing is.
And then there's so many people who relapse every day, back to old behaviors, and that's where, if we don't leave ourselves the option of returning to the old, then we have to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I know that space well.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to today I'm like, I don't want to do this thing, but I know I got to do this thing. Mm-hmm. And I can easily call this thing irrelevant, and it's not going to affect anybody if I ever talk about it ever, but I know that it means something for me to just say it. So I have to, that's that new management, that mindfulness, that awareness that if I always do what I've always done, that saying, I'm going to get what I always got, so like I'm in this space now to where I don't want to get what I always got. I'm done with that. Like if I wanted what I always had, I just stop, but yeah, it's good to be in that space. And it's also that, and that's that thing, that's that pull. Like we got 95% of our external environment is determined by our subconscious, for about 400 million neurons per second firing back here, as opposed to 40 million up here. we can't even get to the neocortex if we go into a state of trauma that won't push the information forward. So we just live back there. So it's that training yourself to be mindful in the situations where you need it most is the key thing, because there's been so many times where I didn't even know I was suffering. I was just acting this thing out. And then all of a sudden I'm trying to prevent the suffering from going any further. I'm in fight or flight, right? And there's nothing I can do about it because I can't even think about it. I thought I could think myself out of it because I read some books and I knew some things, but it's not possible. It stops right there. So it's like going to the gym. Like you gotta work that muscle out. You know, you gotta have intent. If you don't have intent, it's never gonna happen. I thought it would. I thought I could just know some stuff and it would happen. It doesn't work like that. You gotta. It becomes fun. It becomes playful. What we were talking about. After a while, good things start happening, and you're like, oh, well, this is kind of nice. And then you stop. The bad things that happen, they're not bad anymore. They're just things that happen, and you navigate through them. So, but you got to experience that. Like I know for me, I had to be pushed into a corner. Like I had to be back down, like to almost to the point of death, to finally step outside of my ego and say, yeah, it's not going to work. You know, it took that. I don't know how to get people to get that new manager in there without. It seems like we change two ways: choice or trauma. And most people don't wake up and say, "Yeah, I'm just going to do this. I want to change everything about me today." You know, if you're binge watching Netflix and neglecting everybody in the family, but you're paying the bills and you're doing all right, you're probably not going to get called to task for that. You know what I mean? You could exist your entire life like that because you're still a good person and whatever, but you're not happy. You're not really existing. So how do you break people out of the mundane?
You know, the funny thing about people when they identify themselves as experiencing trauma, the question, you know, when I working with patients is how intense is the trauma? And for most people, the intensity is not that great. And so they can go day to day, perform as a quote regular person, live with that trauma. It's acceptable, it's allowable, it's defendable. But if the intensity of the trauma is great, you're forced to deal with it.
Yeah.
I need to get you in a situation where I intensify the trauma, because chances are for most people, most adults, the trauma happened some days, weeks, months, and years ago, but they're holding on to that trauma because the intensity has moved away from it, but it still exists. And so I need to be able to ramp up the intensity of that trauma so they have to deal with it in the present, in the now, so they don't carry it into the future.
So how do you do that as a therapist?
Well, as a therapist, I want to have that person, you know, and engage them in that traumatic experience. Tell me more about that traumatic experience. And let's go back and let's relive it and pull out characteristics of yourself that you wish were stronger because you deem them as weak. And we need to step away from those characteristics that we saw as weak and move into the future and make them stronger. Because there's something about you that's very resilient. If you're that person who experienced that trauma, but you're here today living. And so we need to find out what makes you so resilient. Label those things as your highest self, and then pull those areas that are weak towards your highest self. And so we make it more intense because, you know, I don't let you abandon that experience for days, weeks, months. Because that person walking around with trauma now, that's what they've been able to do, is pull themselves away from that and then pick it up at any point, and sometimes never be forced to deal with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I went through years.
Now the trauma you experienced, did it happen last week? Or was it months? Or was it years ago?
Years. I mean, years. And it's fascinating when they do the fMRIs, they see that when somebody's triggered with severe PTSD, it's the Broca section, right? No, Brodmann is right here. I think it's one or the other. We'll intertwine, but so this section goes offline immediately. And this is the part it goes offline during a stroke, and it's responsible for linear thought, speech. So it's done, goes offline. The Broca section over here, that goes online. That section of the brain is responsible for one thing and one thing only, taking in immediate imagery and then pushing it up. So what they know is you're reliving that, but you don't know you're reliving that because it can't even get to the conscious mind. So it's starting to, it gets to the amygdala and it's trying to figure out if it needs to go into fight or flight. And what is fascinating about trauma to me, the way I view it is it's like pain, right? It's resistance. But at an early age, from the third trimester till about 3 years old, that's where your processors are being developed. So if you have an unhealthy relationship with your caregivers, then that processor's broke. So your ability to process trauma, and say you're a veteran and you're standing on the same field, you're both witnessing the same murder. The one goes home and he doesn't develop PTSD, but the other one does, because he's not able to process it. And I know from my own experience that the processor was broken. So I had to figure out how it got broken. And then once I knew what the pattern was, then I could feel it. Because like I said, I couldn't think myself out of it. But once I felt the visceral emotion, once I knew to grab that first, then I could take a step back. Oh, that never leads to a good place, you know. And but it took training. Again, it's like the gym. And luckily I'm like a nerd about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm fascinated by how the mind works, and it happened to apply to me. So I was like, I'm just going to keep reading on this stuff and when I read Bessel's book, it was the first time like I could feel it, and I can feel neurons firing in my brain. Like I can feel it if I'm really paying attention. I can feel that stuff, the tingle so I knew what it felt like, everything he was talking about. But when I read it, I'm like, oh, now I have words for it. Now I can recognize that pattern, and I can recognize it in other people. I know when I'm in a conversation and they go offline, all right, there ain't no argument to win here because they can't even think logically. So let me take a step back and ask a question. And I think that's one of the tricks is like you said, ask a question, have them answer it without judgment.
Right.
Because if they're asked with judgment, then they're defensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Without judgment.
And it's a field of love, right? You come from this field of love, and it makes sense because there's a lot of bad things perceivably that happen in this universe, but a lot of those bad things and the people they happen to, they don't kill themselves. Like there's this innate sense of faith or hope that you know, when I was going through the worst of times, I couldn't get to the abyss that said jump, you know, like go in there and just die, even though there were times where I was like, man, it might be better, but I just couldn't get to that place wasn't available to me. And I can't really say how. There was just something in me that told me tomorrow might be better. You know, I couldn't say that because I didn't believe it, but something in me did.
How worthy do you think, and this is what I ask clients, how worthy do you think you are to experience the very best life for you?
Consciously, I know I'm worthy. Subconsciously, I still battle with the part that doesn't believe, you know, so that's that thing that when real good things happen, there's a question. I have to question how real it is. And it's almost ridiculous because I'll have conversations with I know when I'm saying it, I'm like, this is just stupid that I'm even thinking it. And it's not, though. I really gotta give grace to those things that are there because they were put there they were defense mechanisms meant for my survival. I just don't need them anymore. So consciously, I know it. Like I know it, but subconsciously, I still battle with a part that says, you know, there's something in there that says, maybe you don't deserve that. So question, you know what I mean? That's a little too good to be true. That too good to be true. Like why stuff got to be too good to be true? That doesn't make any damn sense. Life's supposed to be more playful than that.
Yeah. So Amber, what do you think when I throw that question out there? You know, what comes to mind?
I think I'd have a similar answer as Vince, which is that consciously, I continually work on, you know, reaffirming that with myself, that I can have and live the best life possible, in your words, which I like. I might write those ones down. It's a very short affirmation, beautiful. But I think there's definitely still lingering things. And I'm at a point where I kind of turned a corner pretty recently in the last year around some of this, mostly just based off of awareness, patterns that just popped up enough that I was like, okay, and now this is a pattern. And now there's something that needs to be really paid attention to here. But then there's also some other things that were coming to mind while you were talking that are related, at least for me, which is at least in our culture, I think very much so in the US. And I don't know how far reaching this is, if it's even connected to people in general and our will to live, is the what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, this sort of value that we have. And I almost wonder if something like that, we start to take pride in, whether it's quiet pride all by our lonesome, or if it's, more boastful in some way, pride around, I made it through this, I made it through that. And some people get destroyed, right, by events in their lives, and other people reinforce themselves through those experiences and are able to not necessarily transmute it into something valuable, but they're able to live through it in a different way. I don't know if you see this in your practice, but it makes me think of at Impact Theory University, where I work, we talk a lot about anti-fragility, which is basically the same system that it's the same concept of the immune system, where things are attacking the immune system at all times, and our immune system, by way of those small attacks, reinforces itself. And so I wonder if somehow underlying our consciousness, or our way of approaching love, right, the overlying, our underlying thing that exceeds all boundaries, do we favor that strength, that fortitude, because it means something about who we are, or our ego, versus letting all of that go and saying, but I don't need any of that. I can be anything at all that I want, which goes back to your question, am I worthy of the best life possible?
Yeah, because unfortunately, we learn love from unhealthy people. And oftentimes that could be an unhealthy parent or parents, teachers, spiritual leaders. And so we get this sense of, tough love. And there's books that say tough love. Tough love is unhealthy love, because I don't know how to express love, and so I have to get tough with you. The healthy love, agape love, is healthy love. Meaning, I can enjoy being at my highest place of power, which is the greatest form of love. And if I'm healthy, I can express that, and I radiate that. And so I don't need to get tough with you or push you around, Amber, or push you around, Vince, because I love you and I want to possess you. Possessing people is not healthy love.
That's not love at all. That's the opposite.
Yeah, but you see these relationships with abuse, mental and physical abuse, and they're justified. I did because I love her and I don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose him. It's unhealthy.
Yeah, we are taught that to possess. I tell Sophia, who keeps making an appearance, like those fairy tales, those are fairy tales. There's no prince, and you're not gonna pass out and have somebody kiss you, and no one's sweeping you off your feet. They might, but I mean, it's we're out here. We got these individual purposes, whatever it is that's bestowed on us that we're supposed to do here in this lifetime, and we're supposed to be making ourselves whole by getting back to that love. We want what we want, and Bruce Lipton uses the metaphor of noble gases, right? That don't need any. They're just out there, and they're interdependent. They interact with everything else, but they're wholes. That they don't need another to be whole. So that's metaphorically, to me, that seems like it should be a common goal. There's too much you complete me. you know, and that's a romantic concept, kind of like the fairy tales. That's very romantic, but it leaves you almost in a victim mindset. Like I need something else. I need somebody. I need something out there outside of me to make me whole, and that's not healthy.
Yeah.
But
And-
well intended.
Yeah. My
You know?
Message Sunday is about that worthiness.
Mhm.
Syndrome that we all have. And when you're out there looking to be validated by people, that means I don't see myself as healthy and whole. And without that consciousness that I am love and I am love, then you will go out as a spiritual being having a human experience, thinking that I'm lacking something. And so I began a world of discovery to complete myself, as opposed to radiating love. And as I radiate that love, I attract love. You know, healthy relationships that help propel me into the person that I can evolve into, which is that higher self. And that's what our duty and responsibility is as divine beings, is to come down and demonstrate everything that we see in our spiritual teaching. We're supposed to be the great demonstrator. And you mentioned Jesus. Jesus is one of the greatest teachers ever because he applied the principles. And so when we become practitioners, as opposed to simple gatherers of knowledge, that's when our life begins to change and we can actually manage ourselves and manage the love person that we really are. And that's what I'm trying to get across, that we need to manage the love person that we are.
It's a scary, the closer you get to knowing that that's true, it's scary. Like when you hear the things that come out of some of the greatest spiritual teachers' mouths and they just make absolute sense, it's it's scary because there's still that attachment to the physical plane, because I think I believe you can go there. I believe a few choices and you might be in that space, you know, but it's scary because there's our humanness. I'm not going to say I'm going to say me. I'm just going to put it like me. That's what I battle with, is there's that part, even though I believe everything I read and I know it to be true. I've had experiences where I've sat in that space and just felt the oneness. And there's still a part of me that for whatever reason likes that dysfunctional human, you know, and that's the game I play with. Now it's turned into a game to where I can toy with it. I can, you know, it's not so detrimental anymore. I can laugh at the fact that, you know, why'd you think that just now, though, you know, but it's still there. I haven't let it go completely. I think I'm doing more of that as of late than I ever have. You know, I'm at this place where manifestations they're starting to manifest. Like the things that I wanted to manifest, I didn't even know I wanted. I had no idea. Like I had no clue. I wasn't even looking for the things that are starting to pop up now. And I'm like, slow down, you know, but no, don't, you know. So I'm back and forth with myself, like, no, don't slow down. But then that, you know, the little devil or whatever you want to say, he's like, nah, it's too good, man. It's too good. Let's get back to some dysfunction. Let's go ruin some shit.
Well, it is that accountability is tough, is what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
Accountability to self.
Yeah.
And that it still goes back to, you know, what are you feeding yourself constantly? You know?
Were we talking about that? Who
Mm-hmm.
are you feeding? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to feed that guy. I don't want to feed him too much.
Well, I think that whole idea of, you know, which wolf are you feeding, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's also like your internal wolves. That's that. But you know what else comes up for me in what you guys were just saying is the lesson that comes through grace. So Vince, you were talking about being, you know, in hard times, and I'm curious if you've ever experienced a moment that you recollect, or multiple moments where you were just at the hardest, you were just at the bottom, and something happened that showed you something else is at play, or there is a way out. It was something like that. I don't know how you would put it into words, but
Yeah.
I have. And I know that for me, I can always lean on that in the sense of not so much in the sense of like what you said, Glenn, at the beginning of the conversation, where we turn to God when we're desperate. There is that part of it.
Yeah.
But that sense of, I know that if I surrender, like I have proof in my life that if I surrender
Yeah.
and I open myself in that way, I make myself vulnerable to that agape love that's out there for me, that something will transpire to show me the way. And because I have proof of that evidence in my own life, I can always remember that and know that it's there, and that I can grow, I can water that garden and make, instead of it being something that pops up in a moment of desperation, instead it's a place where I live.
I mean, you know, that's what it's all about. You know, can you surrender yourself? You know, what can you come down? You know, I always like to say the spiritual being having a human experience. And as you accumulate these experiences, can you allow yourself to surrender and let go? Not just surrender, but let go. And letting go is a release. And as we enter Lent season starting tomorrow, the whole idea of Lent is to release and let go. You know, so we have 40 days where we practice for 40 days. That's what we do. We nourish ourselves with the idea that we're greater. We're relinquish because we're greater. Relinquish because we're greater. And as we relinquish, we create space for newness. But most of us are, you know, like this drain that's full of hair, and we're still trying to pump water through it, but there's too much hair in the drain. So it just stops up. You know? And so you've got to, at some point, remove that hair so that drain, that energy flow, the love flow.
You can feel it too. Like it's, you know, when you're being pulled by negative forces, you know, when you're flowing, it's so effortless, you know?
It's like, you know, I guess, Amber, for me, I liken this to, because I have so many responsibilities, but I liken it to my experience that I know when I get on a plane to fly somewhere, it's one of the times where I'm just totally relaxed, because I know there's nothing I can do but surrender to that moment. Mm-hmm. And there I am up in the heavens with the clouds, and I'm watching this dynamic play out. But I know at that point, I've just surrendered to a force greater than me. And I'm soaring high above everything else. And as I look down and everything that seems huge, gigantic, scary, as I look down from a higher height, it seems small. You ever notice how you go up in a plane, houses and cars and everything become manageable, you know? Through that process of love, I can just reach down and all the cars seem like they're moving slower. The houses look smaller, the people look smaller, and I can just play it like it's a little game and manipulate it. And that's what we're supposed to do. As we go higher and higher, we're able to use our power, dominion, and authority that was granted to us upon our creation.
Well, we're at the hour mark. That is a pretty good note to leave it on. Yeah, so everybody do that. Do what Glenn said. Implement that tonight.
I don't know what the spiritual practice is, but why not say, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and start anew. For 40 days, I'm gonna practice whatever spiritual principles that I follow, that I attest, that I follow, practice them. Consciously feed yourself that. Just like you eat 3, 4, 5 meals a day, take in your spiritual practices at least 3 to 6 times a day. And every night I challenge everybody to decide what's mine to keep for tomorrow and what's mine to leave in the past. And those things that are yours to take into the future, write them down on a notepad next to your bed and take them into tomorrow, because those are the things that are valuable, that will help you evolve, transform, and resurrect you into a higher self. But those things that are not yours, because they're not you any longer, you refuse to let them define you tomorrow, Leave them in the past. Purge. You know,
That-
every night purge. Don't take a chance on, you know, something good just happening. Make a decision before you go to sleep. This is mine to release. And when I say mine to release, it means I recognize my power to let it go. And so
yeah, that's
don't
good.
sleep on it. Don't sleep on bad things, as I tell my clients.
There we go. Well, so everyone's got homework because we're going to be coming back in the Nature of Consciousness series. So they're going to be held accountable to this. I'm going to be held accountable. I know that. I'm doing it though. I'm getting it in. I'm getting it in. It's for real. Like for real. It's scary in a good way. But that book is Cosmic Hologram by Jude Caravan.
Cosmic hologram.
Yeah, I'll text you guys that, but I should put it. I got to put more books up on this site so
Yeah.
people can read. And,
Yes, I got one for you to put up there. It's by Eric Butterworth, and it's The Universe is Calling.
Universe is calling. I'll put that in our.
I consider it a classic because I read it so many times how old it is.
I like the name of it.
Yeah, The Universe is Calling. And so that whole idea, the universe is calling us constantly to come forward, you know, into newness and greatness, newness and greatness, newness and greatness. And so you got to constantly say that to yourself. I'm evolving. Newness, greatness. Newness and greatness, I'm walking into it.
There's more I want to get into, but we I like now I'm thinking the idea of faith and dropping the concept of good and bad. We'll get into that on the next one, 10 o'clock. Thank you for coming on.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Ambra, for
Feature.
catching that concept. And we'll set up the next one. We'll decide what we want to delve into, but I think people will benefit from this.
All right. Well,
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. I enjoyed you guys.
Yeah, it's fun. This is a human condition. Questions, comments, I'll get to them eventually. Inbox me, it's best. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys.
All right.
I'm going to go pray now.